We thought the human was broken, too slow to survive our academy. 6 days later, we learned she wasn't slow. She was hunting all of us. Look, I have been training soldiers for 23 cycles at Velkara Military Academy, and I thought I had seen everything. Every species, every body type, every attitude problem the galaxy could throw at a drill instructor. The Kretin with their 6 arms who still could not hold a rifle properly, the Phosphine who glowed in the dark and wondered why stealth training was difficult for them. The Torgathi who kept trying to eat the obstacle course. You get the idea. But nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, prepared me for the day Elena Reeves walked into my training compound. My name is Thren, by the way. Instructor Thren, if you want to be formal about it, though most cadets just call me sir before they collapse from exhaustion. I run the advanced tactical program here at Velkara, which is a fancy way of saying I turn soft, privileged academy recruits into something resembling functional soldiers. It is not glamorous work, but someone has to do it. The human shuffled in on orientation day with the rest of the new class, 47 recruits from 12 different species, all of them eager to prove themselves. Well, most of them were eager. Elena looked like she had just woken up from a nap, or maybe like she desperately needed one. Her eyes had that half-lidded quality that screamed, "I am barely conscious," and her movements were so slow I briefly wondered if she was injured. Cadet Reeves, Elena, human, transferred from the Terran Auxiliary Corps, she said when I called her name during roll. Her voice was steady but quiet, like she was trying not to wake someone up. The other cadets were standing at rigid attention, spines straight, trying to impress me. Elena stood there like she was waiting for a bus, a very slow bus, that might not even come. I checked my datapad. Human. Right. The species that had only joined the Galactic Coalition 15 cycles ago. The ones from that absurdly dangerous planet where apparently everything was trying to kill everything else at all times. Earth, they called it. Death World, we called it. I had read the reports about human durability, their ridiculous healing factors, their inexplicable ability to survive things that would liquefy most species. What the reports had not mentioned was that they apparently operated in some kind of permanent slow-motion mode. "Cadet Reeves, are you feeling unwell?" I asked, genuinely concerned. Her skin had a pallor to it, and she was breathing so slowly I had to watch carefully to confirm her chest was even moving. "No, sir. I feel fine, sir," she replied, still in that quiet, unhurried tone. "Your respiration rate is abnormally low. Do you need medical attention?" "This is normal for humans, sir. We breathe slower than most species." I glanced at my medical scanner. Her heart rate was reading at 62 beats per standard minute. 62. My own hearts, plural, were pumping at a healthy 140. The Kryn cadet next to her was registering 210. 62 was what a Velkaran registered when they were asleep. Deep asleep. Medically sedated asleep. "That cannot be right," I muttered, recalibrating the scanner. Same reading. "Are you sure you are not sick?" "Positive, sir." Behind her, I heard snickering. Cadet Jorvik, a Draken with scales the color of rusted iron and an attitude to match, was whispering to his neighbor, "Look at the human. She is half dead already. This will be entertaining." "Cadet Jorvik, do you have something to share with the class?" I snapped. "No, sir. Just admiring our new recruit's energy levels, sir." More snickering from his corner of the formation. Even Cadet Prenna, normally disciplined, was suppressing a smile. Prenna was Scythic, all lean muscle and nervous energy, the type who could not stand still for more than 5 seconds. Next to Elena's glacial movements, the contrast was almost comical. I should have shut it down harder right then. But honestly, I was curious too. The human did look like she was about to fall over. Her eyelids drooped, her shoulders had a relaxed slope to them that suggested zero muscle tension. When I ordered the class to attention, everyone snapped into position with sharp, precise movements. Elena just sort of straightened slightly, like someone had adjusted her posture setting from slouching to slightly less slouching. "This academy operates on excellence, cadets," I announced, pacing in front of the formation. "You are here because you have been selected from thousands of applicants. You are supposed to be the best your species has to offer. Over the next 12 weeks, you will be tested physically, mentally, and tactically. Some of you will excel. Some of you will fail. Some of you will quit." I stopped in front of Elena, Up close, her eyes were clearer than I expected. Brown, almost gold in the training compound's harsh lighting. There was something behind them, something that did not match her lethargic exterior, but I could not quite identify it. Some of you, I continued, still looking at her, will realize you are not cut out for this life, and that is acceptable. Better to learn that here than in a combat zone. Is that understood? Yes, sir, came the chorus of voices. Elena's was in there somewhere, quiet but present. Good. Welcome to Velkara. Try not to die. As I dismissed them to their barracks assignments, I watched Elena trudge away at her snail's pace, already falling behind the others who rushed to claim the best bunks. Jorvik made a show of walking in exaggerated slow motion behind her, to the amusement of half the class. I made a note in my datapad, human cadet, possible medical concerns. Monitor closely. What I should have written was, human cadet, do not understand her yet. Probably should not have underestimated her. But hindsight, as they say, is perfect vision. And I was about to learn a very expensive lesson about judging based on appearances. The physical assessments began on day 3, and let me tell you, watching Elena Reeves attempt the combat speed trials was like watching a glacier try to win a sprint race. The course was simple enough. Cadets had to navigate a 50-meter obstacle run, engage pop-up targets with training rounds, execute a tactical role, and finish with a simulated close-quarters combat scenario. The current Academy record was 14.3 seconds, held by a Draken who had since gone on to special operations. Most cadets finished somewhere between 18 and 25 seconds. Elena took 41 seconds. 41 seconds. I stood there with my chrono, staring at the numbers, convinced the equipment was malfunctioning. But no, I had watched the entire thing with my own eyes. She had moved through the course like she was underwater. Her target acquisition was accurate. I would give her that. Every shot hit center mass. But the speed. The ancestors helped me. I had seen cargo loaders move faster. Did she think this was a sightseeing tour? Jorvik barked out, not even bothering to lower his voice. He had finished his run in 19 seconds and was still breathing hard, his scales flushed with exertion. Should we wait for her to finish her nap before the next drill? Prena stretched nearby, her triple-jointed legs coiling and uncoiling with barely contained energy. Maybe humans measure time differently. You know, like how some planets have longer days. 41 seconds is probably, 5 seconds in human time. The other cadets laughed. Even the usually serious Korthan, a hulking Bremak who rarely showed emotion, was making a clicking sound that passed for chuckling in his species. Elena just stood there at the finish line, breathing slowly, deeply, her chest rising and falling with that same unnervingly calm rhythm. She was not even winded, not gasping, not panting, just breathing like she had taken a casual walk. Her heart rate on the monitor read 70 beats per minute, 70. After a full combat sprint, Jorvik's was at 260. Cadet Reeves, I called out, trying to keep the confusion out of my voice. Are you injured? Did you pull something during the course? No, sir, she replied, that same quiet, steady voice. I am fine. Then why, by all the stars in the void, did you move like you were dragging a dead Torgathi behind you? I moved as fast as I could, sir. I blinked. All 4 of my eyes, in sequence, because I needed a moment to process that statement. That was your top speed? Yes, sir. Jorvik burst out laughing, a harsh, grating sound. Oh, this is perfect. The mighty humans from their death world, and they send us one that moves like geriatric phosphine. Did they lose a bet or something? Maybe she is broken, Prena chimed in, walking circles around Elena with that manic Sithic energy. Like defective. Do humans come with warranties? Can we return her? Elena did not react, did not bristle, did not snap back, did not even look at them. She just stood there, watching me with those gold-brown eyes, waiting for her next instruction. It was unsettling. Honestly, most cadets would have shown something by now. Anger, embarrassment, frustration. She showed nothing, just patience. Endless, bottomless patience. Next assessment, I barked, more sharply than I intended. Cardiovascular endurance. Treadmill stations now. The endurance test was designed to push cadets to their limits. A full hour of progressively increasing speed and incline, monitoring heart rate, oxygen consumption, and lactate threshold. It separated the truly fit from the pretenders, and it was brutal. We usually had at least 3 cadets collapse or tap out during this portion. 45 minutes in, Jorvik finally hit his wall. His heart rate had been climbing steadily, now hovering at 320 beats per minute, his breathing ragged and desperate. He slapped the emergency stop, stumbled off the treadmill, and promptly vomited into the designated receptacle. Prenna made it to 52 minutes before her legs gave out. Corthan lasted the full hour but collapsed immediately after, his massive frame shaking with exhaustion. Elena finished the full hour, and her heart rate never went above 95 beats per minute. The medical staff actually stopped what they were doing to stare at the readouts. Dr. Hallex, our head physician, a Velkaran like myself but with actual medical training, came over to inspect the equipment personally. "This cannot be accurate," he muttered, tapping the display screen. "No organism can sustain this level of activity with this cardiovascular response. It defies biological logic." "Maybe she is not trying," suggested his assistant, a young Kryn named Tessic. "Maybe she is deliberately holding back to make us look foolish." I walked over to Elena's station. She had stopped running when the timer ended, but was still standing on the treadmill, barely sweating, barely breathing hard. Just standing there like she could go another hour if I asked. "Cadet Reeves, are you using some kind of enhancement? Stimulants? Biological modifications?" "No, sir. This is just how humans are built." "Built wrong, apparently," Jorvik wheezed from his position on the floor. "Built stupid and slow." Dr. Hallex pulled me aside, his voice low. "Instructor Thren, I need to run more tests. Her respiratory efficiency is unlike anything I have seen. She is processing oxygen at a rate that should not be possible with lungs that size. And her heart rate. It is almost as if her body is not registering the exercise as stressful. Is she dangerous? Could this be some kind of medical condition? I do not know, but I have never seen physiology like this. Her resting heart rate is 60. 60, Thren. That is what I register when I am in delta sleep, and during maximum exertion, she barely reaches what I would consider a light jogging pace for cardiovascular response. I looked back at Elena, who was now being fitted with more monitoring equipment by Tessic. Respiratory sensors, cardiac monitors, thermal imaging. She submitted to all of it without complaint, without comment, just standing there with that same patient, almost serene expression. "Run every test you have," I told Hallex. "I want to know what we are dealing with." Over the next 2 days, Elena became something of a medical curiosity, and a training yard joke. Jorvik had taken to calling her Turtle Girl, which caught on with unfortunate speed. Prenna started making exaggerated yawning gestures whenever Elena was nearby. Even some of the instructors were making comments in the staff room about the slow human. But here is the thing that kept nagging at me, kept digging into my thoughts during my off hours. Elena never reacted, never got angry, never got defensive, never tried to prove herself through bravado or aggression like most cadets would. She just kept moving through the assessments at her own pace, hitting her targets with consistent accuracy, completing every task assigned to her, and maintaining that impossibly low heart rate through all of it. And those eyes. Every time I looked at her, those gold-brown eyes were watching, assessing, calculating something I could not quite understand. Dr. Hallex finally gave me his report on day 5. She is healthy, remarkably so, actually. Everything about her physiology is functioning exactly as it should, for a human. Her species simply operates on different parameters than we do. Slower heart rate, slower respiration, but incredibly efficient. It is like comparing a high-performance racer to a long-distance hauler. Different purposes, different designs. So she is not sick? Not even slightly. In fact, I would say she is one of the healthiest specimens in your entire class. I looked at the report, then back at the training yard where Elena was slowly, methodically field-stripping a rifle while Jorvik made sleeping gestures behind her back. "Then why is she so slow?" I asked, mostly to myself. Hallex shrugged, all 4 of his shoulders moving in sequence. "Perhaps speed is not the advantage humans evolved for." That answer should have told me everything I needed to know, but I was still too blind to see it. Week 6 arrived with the announcement everyone had been waiting for. The live fire field exercise. This was the Academy's signature test, the one that separated actual tactical thinkers from cadets who just had good test scores. I called the entire class into the main briefing hall, and for once, even the perpetually exhausted-looking Elena seemed slightly more alert. "Listen up," I began, pulling up the holo display of the training grounds. "In 3 days, you will be dropped into a 200-square-kilometer combat zone for a week-long elimination exercise. Each of you will be equipped with non-lethal marker rounds that register as kills on your biosuits. The objective is simple: survive and eliminate your competition." The room buzzed with excitement. Jorvik was practically vibrating in his seat, his scales rippling with anticipation. Prena had stopped fidgeting for once, her 3 eyes locked on the display with predatory focus. "However," I continued, letting the word hang in the air, "this cycle we are adding a special element. 1 cadet will be designated as the Marksman. They will be equipped with a long-range rifle, spotter scope, and authorization to set up static positions. Their job is to eliminate targets from distance while remaining undetected." I paused, scrolling through my datapad with deliberate slowness. Every cadet in the room was leaning forward, hoping to be selected for the prestigious marksman role. It was the position that won the exercise 9 times out of 10. The position that looked best on military records, the position everyone wanted. The marksman for this exercise will be Cadet Elena Reeves. The silence that followed was deafening. Then Jorvik exploded. "What? Sir, with respect, that is insane. She moves like a sedated Brumak. How is she supposed to track fast-moving targets? She cannot even complete a speed drill without falling behind," Prena added, her voice sharp with disbelief. "Sir, I scored highest in marksmanship assessments. I should be the marksman." "You scored highest in rapid engagement," I corrected. "Cadet Reeves scored highest in precision shooting and target acquisition. Every single shot she has taken in training has been center mass. No wasted rounds, no misses. That is what a marksman needs." "But her reflexes," Corthan rumbled, speaking up for the first time. "Sir, she will never be able to react fast enough if someone flanks her position." I looked at Elena. She sat quietly in the back row, showing no triumph at being selected, no smugness at her classmates' outrage. Just that same calm, patient expression. "Watching, always watching." "The selection is final," I stated firmly. "Cadet Reeves is your marksman. The rest of you will be hunters and prey simultaneously. Dismissed to prep your gear." The cadets filed out, muttering and complaining. Jorvik made sure to bump Elena's shoulder as he passed, hard enough to make a statement. She absorbed the impact without comment, without reaction, and left the hall at her usual unhurried pace. I was reviewing the exercise parameters when the door to my office opened without the courtesy of a knock. I looked up, ready to verbally destroy whichever cadet had the audacity to enter unannounced, and found myself face to face with Gunner Prime Kessa. Oh hell! Kessa was a legend. A veteran of the border wars, the Krithian uprising, and at least a dozen classified operations I was not cleared to know about. She had more combat kills than I had training cycles, and the scars to prove every single one. Her left arm was completely cybernetic. Her right eye was a military-grade optical implant, and rumor had it she had once held a position solo against an entire company for 3 days. She was also notorious for appearing at the academy unannounced whenever something interesting was about to happen. "Gunner Prime," I said, standing and offering the salute her rank demanded. "I was not informed you would be observing this exercise." "Last-minute decision," she replied, her voice gravelly from a throat wound she had taken years ago. She moved to my window, looking out at the training yard where cadets were prepping their gear. "I heard you selected the human as marksman." "Yes, ma'am. Her precision scores warranted it. Do you know what you have done?" The question was not accusatory, just curious. I frowned, uncertain how to respond. "I have given the position to the most qualified cadet." Kessa made a sound that might have been a laugh or might have been a cough. "I fought alongside human special forces during the Krithian campaign. Specifically, I fought alongside their snipers." She turned to face me, her cybernetic eye whirring as it focused. "Tell me, instructor, what is the most dangerous thing about a predator?" "Its weapons, its speed, its patience," she said quietly. "A Velkaran hunter will chase prey until it exhausts itself. A Draken will overwhelm with aggression. A Sithik will outmaneuver with speed. But a human predator—" She smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. "A human predator will wait, and wait, days, if necessary. barely breathing, barely moving, heart rate so low you would think they were dead. And then, when you have forgotten they exist, when you have convinced yourself they are no threat, they strike. I felt something cold settle in my gut. You are saying I made a mistake selecting her? No, Kessa replied, heading for the door. I am saying you have no idea what you just unleashed on those other cadets. And I would not miss this exercise for anything in the galaxy. She paused at the threshold, looking back at me. One more thing, instructor. Never ever assume a human is slow just because they move slowly. There is a difference between lacking speed and choosing not to use it. She left, and I stood there in my office, staring at the training yard below. Elena was slowly, methodically cleaning her assigned rifle. Jorvik and Prena stood nearby, making jokes I could not hear but could easily imagine. And Elena just kept working, patient and methodical, like she had all the time in the universe. Kessa's words echoed in my mind. It's patience. For the first time since Elena had arrived, I felt a genuine thread of concern. Not for her, for everyone else. The dropships deployed all 47 cadets at dawn on day 1, scattering them across the training ground's varied terrain. From my position in the command center, I watched their biosignals spread across the tactical display like seeds thrown to the wind. Mountains to the north, dense forest in the center, open plains to the south, and a river cutting through the eastern sector. Perfect hunting ground. Within the first hour, 3 cadets were eliminated. Jorvik moved like a storm through the southern plains, his aggressive tactics paying immediate dividends. I watched his signal close with Cadet Thorn, a phosphene who made the fatal mistake of trying to hide behind a rock outcropping while literally glowing. Jorvik's marker round hit center mass, 1 down. Prina was a blur in the forest, her Scythic speed allowing her to flank positions before her targets even knew she was there. She caught 2 cadets, Velix and Cormac, trying to form an alliance near a stream, both eliminated within seconds of each other. Her signal danced across my screen, never staying in one place for more than a few minutes. Aggressive start, commented Lieutenant Var, my second in command, watching the displays with interest. They are hunting hard. Too hard, I muttered, tracking the movement patterns. They are burning energy and giving away positions. This is a week-long exercise, not a sprint. What about the human? Var asked, squinting at the screen. I cannot find her signal. I frowned, zooming in on the northern mountains where Elena had been dropped. Her biosignal was there, a steady blip on the display, but it had barely moved from her insertion point. She is in the mountains. Grid reference 7734. Has she moved at all? I checked the tracking log. In 4 hours, Elena had traveled approximately 200 meters, uphill, to a rocky outcropping that overlooked a valley approach. She has moved to an elevated position. That is it. 200 meters in 4 hours, Var said, his tone a mixture of disbelief and amusement. At that rate, she will still be in the mountains when the exercise ends. Day 1 concluded with 7 cadets eliminated. Jorvik had 3 kills, Prena had 2. And a surprisingly tactical Kryn named Zeller had picked off 2 cadets who had been careless with their movement in open ground. The remaining 40 cadets settled into defensive positions for the night, their biosignals clustering in areas with good cover and sightlines. Elena had not moved from her outcropping, not even to eat, as far as I could tell. Her heart rate on the monitor read 58 beats per minute. She might as well have been sleeping. Should we check if she is actually conscious? Var asked, only half joking. Day 2 brought more action. Jorvik and Prena had both racked up 2 more eliminations each, hunting with ruthless efficiency. They were clearly the favorites to win at this point, their aggressive tactics dominating the field. I watched Jorvik chase down Cadet Bremick through a ravine, the Draken's superior speed and aggression overwhelming the smaller cadet's attempts at evasion, marker round to the spine. Eliminated. Prena ambushed a group of 3 cadets, who had foolishly tried to move together through the forest. She picked them off one by one from 3 different angles, her speed allowing her to relocate faster than they could coordinate a response. 3 more eliminations. 29 cadets remained by the end of day 2. Elena still had not fired a shot, still had not moved more than 50 meters from her position. Her biosignal remained steady in the mountains, overlooking that same valley approach. I pulled up the optical feed from her rifle scope, standard procedure for monitoring the marksman position. The scope was active. She was looking through it, scanning the valley below with slow, methodical sweeps, but nothing was happening. No targets, no shots, no movement. She is going to lose this exercise by doing nothing, Ver observed. Even if she survives, elimination count determines final ranking. She has 0 kills. Maybe she fell asleep up there, joked Sergeant Krill, another observer. Should we send someone to check on her? Gunner Prime Kessa, who had been silent in the corner of the command center for 2 days, finally spoke. She is hunting. You are all just too impatient to recognize it. I turned to look at her. Hunting what? There is nothing in her sector. Everyone is fighting in the plains and forests. She is in the wrong position. Is she? Kessa moved to the display, her cybernetic finger tracing a path through the valley Elena was watching. What is the fastest route from the southern plains to the northern resource cache? I looked at the map. The resource cache, a high-value objective that contained better equipment and supplies, was located in the far northern sector. The fastest route would be straight through the mountains, specifically through the valley Elena was overlooking, but that would require cadets to break from their current hunting grounds, and so far everyone was too focused on racking up eliminations to think strategically about resources. No one is moving toward the cache yet, I said. Yet, Kessa repeated, emphasizing the word, but they will, when the easy targets are gone, when supplies run low, when they realize this is a week-long exercise and not a 2-day sprint, they will head for the cache, and she will be waiting. Day 3 was chaos. The remaining 29 cadets had figured out that open aggression was getting them killed. They started moving more carefully, setting ambushes, coordinating in small groups. The elimination rate slowed dramatically. Only 4 cadets were eliminated the entire day, and 2 of those were from accidents. One cadet Morik, who triggered his own marker mine, and Cadet Schenk, who fell during a climbing attempt and had to be medically evacuated. Jorvik had 9 eliminations total. Prena had 8. They were the clear leaders, and both of them were getting cocky. I could hear it in their comm chatter, which we monitored for safety purposes. 10 eliminations by day 4, Jorvik boasted to another cadet he had temporarily allied with. I am going to set a new academy record. Where is that slow human? Prena asked during a rest period. Has anyone even seen her? Maybe she died of boredom up in those mountains. Laughter on the comms, even from cadets who should have known better. Elena's heart rate read 55 beats per minute. She had eaten 1 meal in 3 days. Barely drank water. Just sat in that same position, watching through her scope, waiting. On the morning of day 4, something changed. Supplies were running low for the aggressive hunters. Jorvik's pack was nearly empty. Prena had burned through her rations with her high metabolism Scythic physiology, and 3 separate groups of cadets began moving toward the northern resource cache. All 3 groups would have to pass through Elena's valley. I leaned forward in my chair, watching the biosignals converge on the screen. Here we go, Kessa said softly, a smile playing at the corner of her scarred mouth. Elena's heart rate dropped to 52 beats per minute. And for the first time in 4 days, I saw her scope stop its methodical scanning pattern. She had acquired a target. The first elimination happened so quietly that we almost missed it. Cadet Renix, moving through the valley in what he thought was good cover, suddenly registered as eliminated on the display. His biosignal went from green to red. The marker round had hit him from 700 meters away. He never even saw where the shot came from. What just happened? Barr asked, confused. Who got Renix? I checked the logs. Reeves. Elena Reeves. Kessa's smile widened. And so it begins. By mid-afternoon on day 4, Elena had 5 eliminations. 5 perfect shots. 5 cadets who never saw it coming. 5 biosignals turning red on my display with clinical precision. Each shot came from a different angle within her sector, suggesting she was finally moving, relocating between shots like a proper marksman should. Except she was not moving. I pulled up the tracking data and felt my blood chill. All 5 shots had come from the exact same position, the same rocky outcropping she had occupied for 4 straight days. She had not relocated even once. She was just sitting there, picking off targets as they entered her kill zone, and apparently none of the survivors could figure out where the shots were coming from. This is not possible, Ver said, zooming in on the ballistic trajectories we had recorded. Shot 1 was angled northeast. Shot 3 was angled southwest. She would have to move at least 200 meters between positions to achieve those angles from elevated terrain. Unless, Kessa said, moving to stand beside the display, she is not moving her body, just her rifle. Humans have remarkable flexibility in their shoulder joints and spine, and their breathing control allows them to maintain stability even at extreme angles. I pulled up Elena's current vital signs. Heart rate, 48 beats per minute. 48. That was lower than her resting rate during active combat. How is this possible? She is actively engaging targets, and her heart rate is dropping. Kessa nodded slowly, like a teacher waiting for a student to understand a difficult concept. Instructor Thrin, what do you know about Earth predators? They are dangerous. Adaptable. The report said humans evolved in an environment where almost everything was trying to kill them. True, but incomplete. Let me tell you about a creature called a crocodile. Kessa pulled up her personal data pad, displaying an image that made Var recoil. A massive reptilian predator with rows of teeth. This animal can slow its heart rate to 2 or 3 beats per minute while waiting for prey. It can remain motionless in water for hours, days even, looking like a log or a rock. Then when prey comes close enough, it explodes into action with enough force to drag creatures twice its size underwater. She swiped to another image. Or the spider. Some species can slow their metabolism to near-death levels, waiting in their webs for weeks without food. Perfectly still, perfectly patient, conserving every bit of energy until the moment a meal arrives. Elena is not a crocodile or a spider, I said, though my voice sounded uncertain even to my own ears. No, but she is a human, and humans are persistence predators. They are endurance hunters. Do you understand what that means? Kessa's cybernetic eye locked onto mine. Most predators in the galaxy evolved to be fast, to overwhelm prey with speed and strength. Humans evolved to outlast their prey, to track an animal for days, weeks if necessary, until it collapsed from exhaustion. They did not need to be the fastest. They needed to be the most patient, the most stubborn, the ones who simply refused to give up. She pulled up footage from what looked like combat records, old and grainy. During the Crithian campaign, I watched a human sniper hold a position for 6 days. 6 days, Thrin. Do you know what his heart rate was when he finally took his shot? I shook my head, transfixed by the footage showing a camouflaged figure barely visible against rocky terrain. 42 beats per minute. He had slowed his heart rate so much that our thermal sensors could not distinguish him from the surrounding rocks. His breathing was so controlled, so minimal, that he was inhaling once every 45 seconds. He was not hiding from us. He was making himself functionally invisible by becoming as close to dead as a living organism can be while remaining conscious. That is not natural, Var whispered. It is for them, Kessa replied. On Earth, this kind of patience is what separated successful hunters from dead ones. The ability to wait, perfectly still, ignoring hunger, thirst, discomfort, boredom, for as long as necessary to achieve the objective. They call it the marksman's trance, a state of complete physiological calm combined with absolute tactical awareness. On the display, Jarvik's biosignal was moving toward the mountains. Fast. Aggressive. I could see his heart rate on the monitor, 290 beats per minute, elevated with combat stimulation and anger. He had lost 3 members of his hunting pack to Elena's invisible shooting, and now he was done playing careful. He was going to find her position and end this. Someone should warn him, Vor said quietly. He would not listen, I replied, watching the Draken's signal charge up the valley approach. He thinks speed and aggression will win this. Kessa said nothing, just watched with that knowing expression. Jorvik made it within 400 meters of Elena's position before his biosignal went red. The marker round hit him in the center of his chest plate. Eliminated. His comm channel erupted with curses and disbelief. Where is she? Where in the void is she? I never even saw her. I zoomed in on Elena's position with our optical satellite. There, among the rocks, barely distinguishable from the stone around her, was a human-shaped form. She had not moved, had not repositioned, had not done anything except wait for Jorvik to enter her kill zone, and then, with that impossibly slow heart rate and controlled breathing, taken a shot that ended his exercise. Her heart rate after the elimination was 46 beats per minute. She might as well have been meditating. This is what you meant, I said to Kessa, finally understanding. When you said I did not know what I had unleashed, They laughed at her slow breathing, Kessa replied, still watching the display. They mocked her low heart rate, called her defective and broken. But marksmen do not need speed. Instructor. Marksmen wait. And humans. She smiled that dangerous smile again. Humans are very, very good at waiting. By day 6, only 2 cadets remained. Elena Reeves, with 14 eliminations, and Prena, with 12. The Scythic had survived through sheer speed and tactical awareness, avoiding Elena's kill zones through constant, unpredictable movement. She was exhausted. I could see it in her erratic biosignal patterns, but she was still in the fight, and she had finally figured out where Elena was positioned. I watched Prena's signal approach the mountains from the west, moving in short, irregular bursts. Smart, she was using terrain and timing to avoid presenting a clear shot. Her heart rate was elevated, hovering around 300 beats per minute, her Scythic metabolism burning hot with adrenaline and determination. Elena had not moved from her outcropping. 6 days. The same position. Her heart rate read 44 beats per minute. She is going to lose, Var said, watching Prena's approach. The Scythic is too fast, moving too unpredictably. Even with perfect aim, Elena cannot lead a target that erratic. Kessa leaned forward slightly, interested. Watch. Prena made her move. A blistering sprint across open ground, zigzagging in a pattern specifically designed to defeat sniper fire. She was fast. Incredibly fast, closing the distance to Elena's position in seconds. 200 meters. 150. 100. Elena's scope tracked smoothly, following Prena's movement with mechanical precision. But she did not fire, did not take the shot even as Prena juked left, then right, then left again. 75 meters. 50. Prena was almost on top of her position now, moving to flank, to get an angle that would neutralize the range advantage. And then Prena stumbled. Just slightly, her rear leg catching on a root hidden in the undergrowth. A fraction of a second where her erratic movement paused, where her pattern became predictable. The marker round hit her center mass before she even realized she had lost her footing. Exercise complete. Winner, Cadet Elena Reeves. The silence in the command center was absolute. She waited for the mistake, I said quietly, understanding flooding through me. 6 days. She waited 6 days for a single moment of vulnerability. Patience, Kessa said simply. The weapon everyone underestimated. We extracted both cadets by transport within the hour. Prena looked devastated, but respectful, clearly understanding she had been outplayed at a level she had not anticipated. When Elena climbed out of the transport, she looked exactly as she had on day 1. Slow movements, half-lidded eyes, that same unhurried pace. Her heart rate, I checked the monitor one final time, was 60 beats per minute. Like she had just woken up from a nap. The other cadets, the eliminated ones who had gathered to see the results, stared at her with expressions ranging from shock to newfound respect. Jorvik actually looked ill, his scales pale with the realization of how thoroughly he had misunderstood the threat. I approached Elena, searching for the right words. Cadet Reeves, that was exceptional work. Thank you, sir, she replied in that same quiet, steady voice. 6 days in the same position. Most cadets would have gone insane from boredom alone. She shrugged slightly. I was not bored, sir. I was hunting. Kessa appeared beside me, nodding with approval. There is an old human saying, instructor, good things come to those who wait, but I prefer the military version. She looked at Elena with something approaching respect. The enemy comes to those who wait in the right position. As Elena walked away toward the barracks, moving at her characteristic glacial pace, I turned to Kessa. What you said earlier, about human warriors, you have seen more than you told us, haven't you? She nodded slowly. I have seen humans hold impossible positions against overwhelming odds. I have seen them survive environments that would kill any of us in hours. I have seen their medics run into active fire zones to save wounded soldiers, not because they were ordered to, but because their nature demands they protect their pack. She paused, her cybernetic eye whirring. But the most terrifying thing I have seen, instructor, is a human who has decided to wait, because when a human commits to patience, when they enter that state of complete calm and absolute focus, they become something else entirely, not faster, not stronger, but inevitable, patient, unstoppable. I watched Elena disappear into the barracks, her slow, steady footsteps echoing across the compound. They had laughed at her slow breathing, mocked her low heart rate, called her defective and broken. But marksmen do not rush. Marksmen do not panic. Marksmen wait. And Elena Reeves, human, had taught my entire academy a lesson that no amount of classroom instruction could convey. Never, ever underestimate the predator who has learned to be patient. Because by the time you realize the danger, they have already been watching you for days, and their heart rate has not increased even slightly.